Good evening. Welcome to Truth Seekers. My name is Mike Fishkin. Seated next to me is Jay Saylor. We are Truth Seekers, and we're live as usual on Saturday nights, except when we're running reruns. Tonight we are here. It's the 23rd of December, has the dates up there. Tomorrow is Christmas Eve, the year 2006, so you can call in. We've only got one line, so you'll have to kind of wait until the first person is about to get off or it's winding down, or as soon as you see someone off the phone, you will know that that you can get on and call in. There's just one line, so we can't see a second line coming in like we usually can. Tonight we're seeing some film that you'll find fascinating. A couple of weeks ago we were talking about the effect of music on societies, and both Plato and Aristotle said that when the style of music changes, Jay, the whole society will change. And I think all of the arts tends to be like that anyhow. And we're going to see how the style started to change in the 60s and 70s, and a guy who's considered the father of rock and roll, who both Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, you see them on screen talking about him, who are very impressed with him. And then you see a little bit of Ozzy Osbourne when he looked a little bit better than he does now. Sorry, Ozzy. Those drugs, my friend. And we'll talk a little bit about that too. But we're going to show this first segment of film. It's about 11.5 minutes long. And then we're here to discuss philosophical, spiritual things as usual. And we'll be here to talk with those of you who have a comment or a question or whatever you might want to say. In about 11.5 minutes. So if you want to get that segment of film ready, guys, we'll roll that, and then we'll be back.
And hold on.
The 60s have been instrumental in turning countless of thousands of youth towards Satanism. Did not leave any mystery as to whom they were serving when they titled one of their albums, "We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll." Black Sabbath was named after a satanic being that appeared to bass player Geezer Butler after he had already painted his house black and adorned it with upside-down crosses and depictions of Satan. This satanic being that appeared at the foot of Butler's bed is considered the fifth mystical member of Black Sabbath, who gave them the material for their first 3 albums. Ozzy Osbourne has admitted that he thinks that he is a vehicle being used by Satan, declaring, "I don't know if I'm a medium for some outside source. Whatever it is, frankly, I hope it's not what I think. Satan."
I was getting into, not practicing, but reading a lot of spiritualism and black magic and white magic and all that kind of stuff, and, which, you know, a lot of people were doing at the time, which is like the post-hippie generation kind of thing, so all the peace and love was going out the window. And spiritualism and meditation, all that was coming in, so I was interested in that. And somebody gave Ozzy this old 16th century book of black magic, and it was all written in, I think it was Latin. And he brought it round to my flat because he knew that I was interested in books and magic and all that kind of thing. And I just got this really weird vibe off it. And I put it in this cupboard in the apartment that I was living in. And that night, I just like woke up suddenly, and there was just like this black shape at the bottom of my bed, and it just vanished into thin air as I was staring at it. And I just had the thought, it's got to have something to do with this book that Ozzy brought round for me, and I like leapt out of bed, rushed to the cupboard to throw this book out, and the book was gone. And the next day, I told Ozzy about it. And about 3 days after that, we came up with our first song, Black Sabbath, and Ozzy just like related my experience in the lyrics.
Big black shape with eyes of fire. Telling people their desire. Satan sitting there, he's smiling. Watches those flames get higher and higher.
We've always, within the band, said there is a fifth member, a mystical member, yeah. We've always said there's something looking over us.
And the only way that I can describe that, probably in its best, the best way for me is that when we were playing our first songs together, and especially our first the first 3 albums, for instance, we would literally show up in a room, and it was almost as if the songs were already written. That's why I like to call Black Sabbath a phenomenon, rather than a band. Although it is a rock and roll band, there's a phenomena involved there where that stuff just comes from somewhere, and it just so happened that we happened to be the ones that it came to.
Robert Johnson is considered the king of the Delta blues. He's also considered the father of rock and roll. It is very significant that Johnson would be considered the father of rock and roll, as it is alleged that he had sold his soul to Satan in Clarksdale, Mississippi, in exchange for guitar playing abilities and worldwide fame. It was after Johnson made his alleged pact with Satan that he became the king of the Delta blues. Blues master B.B. King said, quote, "As a musician, Robert Johnson had it all."
Hey, we lost. I don't know if it's just in here or there, but we.
What's going on? Apparently, we're having some studio technical difficulties. But if you catch the gist of what's going on in here, or with the film clip, you're seeing something very powerful in the rock and roll industry, in the leading society to a place of death is the ultimate there, Mike. And boy, this is very, Mike.
Well, we're going to see lots of bands that say they've sold their soul to the devil for power, ability, and fame. In fact, the guy we just started to see a little bit on, Robert Johnson, he's had an amazing story where he couldn't play hardly at all, and then he comes back after 7 or so months, and they've never heard anybody play that way. And they never saw him practice afterwards. They never saw him write a song. He would just like push a button, like one of the guys who knew him said, and it would just come right out. And
what's interesting too in that story, Mike, the story has this crossroads out in the country of Highway 49 and 66 there in Arkansas, I believe.
61, but
61,
yeah.
Where he made this pact. And you'll see all those great musicians who looked up to Robert Johnson as the king of rock and roll. They all have a song that all refers to that pact that he made back there. If you see where Clapton and Bob Dylan sang about the Crossroads song,
right?
And that was based on that. And you'll find other musicians also that refer back to that incident right there. And I find that as an interesting tie or a connection or a weave amongst all these musicians. And the one thing they all have in common, and that's that at some point, it's like they made a pact themselves in order to be able to be so famous, I guess the word would be?
Well, not all of them. I mean, some people just practice hard and they get pretty talented. But some people, like Jimi Hendrix, we may show this film down the road, not tonight, but his girlfriend said that he wanted to get the demons out of him. He was in torment all the time, and she knew that his ability had come that way. And there are many other musicians who say the same thing. We'll see a little bit of that as soon as these guys get that film together. We're ready with that? Okay, why don't we pop it right on.
Sunhouse said he made the audiences mad with his racket. Sunhouse went on to say of Johnson before he made his alleged pact with